Right. I feel like I'm a magician with a bag of tricks or something here today. All these things around me, but there you go.
Excellent. We're expecting a serious performance. Now you
Well,
that lead.
I'm not going to disappoint you. Let's see. Maybe I will. We'll see how we go. Glasses would be a good idea. How's everyone doing? Yeah, cool. I woke up in the middle of the night thinking, because I tend to get to the venue early, whatever it is, and I thought, oh, it's going to be really cold tomorrow. I don't know how to turn the heating on in here, but we have heating, which is cool. But that's what I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning thinking about, and I just thought I'd share that with you. Yeah, in terms of today, approach it how you feel comfortable with. So there'll be video, there'll be a poem at some point, a reading, short reflection. Connect where you can. Is that my phone, your phone? Yeah, so be kind to yourself, don't overthink connecting, is kind of what I'm trying to say. And even when the poem, David Whyte's poem, when it comes across, don't feel like you need to get every word of the poem. Sometimes his poems can be a little bit complex. I've been listening to one of his poems every day for 4 months now, in the morning, one that struck me, but there's sometimes a lot in there and kind of come back to it. So even if it's just a sentence that you kind of resonates with you, then that's cool. So welcome to country. So I want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today. So the Wurundjeri people, the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and realize that we are doing church on stolen land. Hartwell is a fully affirming community and fully committed to being a safe place. What's going on there? A safe space for all people who are connected to this community, regardless of gender, sexuality, family background, economic situation, and regardless of how old you are, where you come from, what abilities you have, what languages you speak, and what you believe or don't believe. Everyone is welcome here, and we want everybody to feel safe here. We've travelled quite a journey on our Sunday times together over the last little while. Oh, that's cool. How good is that? I haven't seen it. That's awesome, Sarah. Yeah, that's really good. So we've been dealing with topics of money, power, inclusion, recognition, going on a Lent journey, dealing with questions of death and rebirth with the help of Johnny Cash at Easter. You can see where that was going. We're now exploring the kind of big questions of justice and its relationship to being a worshipping community by exploring Amos together. At the same time, and there's a few of us that are on the leadership team here, we're also seeing the birthing of all the different portfolios and the kind of shape that that's taking, and that's also really exciting. And Rosemary's actually going to give a report at the end of the meeting, a little bit of our last leadership team and where that process is kind of at. But it is also April, and it's that time of year, I don't know if you guys find that, where it's like you feel like you're halfway through the year, but you're not, and it's just been like a full-on start to the year. So with all of that kind of background in mind, I thought it would be useful just to kind of take a step back and catch our breath and be kind to ourselves and remind ourselves that we are human beings, amen, and not human doings. So to be honest, the Christian tradition has sometimes not been particularly, am I getting it wrong? Nice. Thank you for watching my suffering and then alleviating it. Yeah, I could just see it going slowly. It was one of those Titanic moments. I've been listening to a 6-part episode of the Titanic. Anyway. So the Christian wisdom tradition does tend to have a flagellating edge to it sometimes. There's some people smiling. I didn't say flatulating, by the way. Thank you, a laugh. I thought that was a good one. And I'm not saying all of the Christian wisdom tradition, but there is certainly a strong component of it, and certainly the part that I've been exposed to has that dimension to it, which is often kind of self-negating, you know. And that's why I've always found interesting dialoguing with the Buddhist tradition, that tends to think, instead of self-negation, often there's a self-compassion, which I find really interesting, that I'm keen to learn from. But more broadly, when we think of human being and doing, often even when we aim to do good things, we can end up doing them badly, not in terms of getting them wrong necessarily, but often, the ends justify the means kind of idea. So justifying treating people badly to get a specific outcome, whatever that might be. And sometimes that's true of the Christian tradition as well. Sometimes we can justify being hard with people or situations. I don't know if you often use this example where, if somebody's about to step out into the road, we want to yank them back so they don't die. So therefore we can be very extreme sometimes in certain situations and with people, right? It's that kind of idea. But the reality is, for most of us in the things that we do, are not life and death situations. I mean, I'm sure for some of us there are, but often what we're involved in with people and with our work is not brain surgery. It's another way of putting it, right? And so sometimes it's good just to take ourselves a little bit less seriously in the things that we do. Are you nodding? Are you agreeing with that? That's interesting. Yeah.
I get accused of taking it not seriously all the time.
Okay.
Just because I made a joke doesn't mean the other track wasn't being serious.
Yeah, cool.
I can be bright and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
I'll try to agree with you opinion.
No, I keep looking at people when they're not. I just want to know what they're thinking. That's the problem. And part of, I think, taking ourselves a little bit less seriously is the ability to drop back. Now I want to know what you guys are talking about. This is not fair. What did you say? Come on, tell us.
Janine and I just took a pact that we were going to read the list shake at each other.
Oh no! Now hopefully I'm also very sensitive. Right? Like, why are you laughing? This is so funny. I want to hear amens, we're an African American church now.
You set a precedent when you were alive in your
I know. All right, I better focus out. So sometimes it's good to step back, rest, and look at our inner worlds, and know that even when we go about our daily tasks, we can hurt others, even while trying to do good things, right? But we can also hurt ourselves, and I think that's where the human doing part comes in. Even doing good things, we can end up burning out and battering our inner worlds and our own lives in the process, not only hurting others, but hurting ourselves. So I think we need to be kinder to ourselves. So that's part of today is I was going to talk about privilege, I think, in Amos, and I just thought with all that background, let's just be kind to ourselves for a little bit. And particularly the inner narratives that often drive us to do the things that we do. So broadly, it's coming to terms with things like you are good enough, I am good enough. I know we talked about that a month or 6 weeks ago. As I said, for those that weren't there, that's my mantra every morning when I wake up. First thing I say to myself 3 times is, I'm good enough, I'm good enough, I'm good enough. as a way of kind of just stepping back off from that drivenness. So I think, again, that this is a message to ourselves as individuals, all of us in this room, but those that we partner with as well, as Hartwell, as a community, and even as a community, as we move forward into these portfolios, there's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, a lot of stuff going on. Let's be careful. You don't have to agree with me with this. I just realized as I'm saying this, I think some people might disagree with me with this, but let's avoid a productivity bias in a lot of what we do, if we can. I'm not good enough in this portfolio kind of space where we're contributing to what we do, or I'm not enough in this space. Let's avoid the perfection bias, and let's avoid the human doing bias. So the question that some might be having is, does that mean we're going to end up being lazy? If I've learned anything about the past 4 months, and then even last year when I was engaged with you guys, that's not going to be Hartwell's challenge. You guys are not lazy people. We are not lazy people. If anything, we need to be kind to ourselves as we move forward. I'm going to read a little. I came across this book, I think it was about 6 weeks ago. It was on sale, so I like buying books that are on sale. And it's called Good Enough, The Myth of Success, and How to Celebrate with Joy in Average. And I thought, I probably need to read that, because personally I haven't yet been successful in rejecting the myth of success. Hopefully you can see the irony of that statement. So I just want to read a quick page on this as we come together. Is the drive to be successful actually destructive, is the question. So she says, it goes without saying that we can't all be the best. We can't all succeed, so I started to wonder whether we should all just tone it down, try to take it easy. I had a hunch I wasn't alone in feeling so strung out all of the time. Cities across the world are full of people studying at night classes while working flat out during the day. The first London tube that runs each morning is packed with tired people who have spent all night working to provide for their families, joined by sharp, suited under-30s on their way out to Canary Wharf to sit in on a 6 a.m. call. What I do know is that it's an absolute privilege to have this dilemma. The dilemma of needing to press pause, but not knowing how to do so. So few of us have the opportunity to decide whether we want to reduce the amount of work we have, reduce the amount we work, or have the opportunity to strive for promotions. According to the Office for National Statistics, this is obviously in the UK, around 5 million workers in the UK are casual or work 0-hour contracts. That's a lot of people in insecure work. And around 40% of that 5 million are in low-skilled jobs. Not everyone can enjoy such first-world problems as anxiety over whether we go to the gym too much. Being aware of the luxury that I can choose whether or not I want to strive to be successful is a marker of privilege, being white or being middle class. And although this privilege doesn't make these anxieties or the stress any less real or important, it's still a better one to have than being fearful of the police or unconscious bias. Many of us, rich or poor, regardless of skin color or religion, live in a world driven by capitalism, expectation, and unrealistic standards. And this is what I hope this book calls to account and challenges. As humans, we strive, and it's in our nature to do so. But at what cost? With that in mind, I think what I love about these contemplative services and what's so unique is it does just give us a minute to pause again in our lives and in the flow of what we do, even as a community. And the contemplative tradition offers us an opportunity to rest, to be human beings and not human doing. So I want to show this quick clip. It's not quick actually, it's about 10 minutes, so settle in. But it's by Barbara Holmes, and it comes from within the African American tradition. of why the contemplative moment is important and a way to think about that in our togetherness. So let's see if we can pull this off.
What's diluting our imagination to think that we can mow and control everything? And what are we missing out from that dilution?
The reason I love contemplative studies is because it dampens my own arrogance, my own desire to control. I think it's endemic. We have a fear of the unknown. And so if we control things, if we control nature, if we control our lives, our pathway, and our careers, we're less afraid of this journey that we don't know where it began and we don't know where it's going to end. And the fear of that's always subliminal, always there, gives us this impetus to control whatever we can.
Talk about contemplative prayer, isn't it supposed to be quiet?
No, it's not supposed to be quiet. When I wrote the book Joy Unspeakable, Contemplative Practices of the Black Church, my friend said, there's no such thing. So how are you going to get a book out of that? And I had seen it, so I knew that it existed. Contemplative prayers are usually seen in a setting of silence, monasticism, being set apart, when in fact for people of color, and I don't know whether it is because of psychological trauma, usually it is the group that is receiving the contemplative moment. There's a song in the Black church called "Oh Jesus," and those are the only words of the song. And the song can go on for 20 minutes. And the people just moan, "Oh Jesus, oh, oh Jesus, oh, oh," and it goes on. And the musicians get more complex and the moans and people weep. There is no question in my mind that that is entry into sacred places for a contemplative moment. It's one that arises in the drum beat. There's a scholar named Olu Taiwo.
Does it arrive in the John Deere?
And what he says is there is a return beat. There's a space between each moment. As you move your hand up and down as you're hitting a drum, there's this breath, this moment. There's a space between our breaths. There's this ineffable moment, this moment that can't be described, that is a contemplative moment. So we're having them all the time. We're having contemplative moments with the television on. We're having it with the lawnmowers going. It is that breath that we won't voluntarily take that is seeded into our very being, so that whether you ever contemplate anything, you're having it as you breathe.
What's dismembered us from that connection to that breath?
Pain. I think that being quiet for quiet contemplative prayer is difficult if you have been traumatized. Because the way you keep pain enclosed and encased within you is by not stopping, going from morning till night, falling out in your bed, getting up and doing it again and again until you're ill or can no longer do it. But what you're trying to do is not think about what hurts, how you've hurt others. You don't want to think about any of it. So people have always said, well, the contemplative moment is difficult because then all of it rises to my conscious level and I can see and hear what I have been unwilling to heal.
And contemplative prayer is relevant when you're just trying to survive?
Oh, absolutely, because it's not quiet necessarily. You can do it quietly, or you could go to a drumming class and have the drumming take you into another place. You can do it like the Gullah ancestors in my family, with a ring shout, dancing around in a circle without crossing your ankles. You can do it in any number of ways. I do all of my contemplative writing with a television on. I'm not listening to it, but it's a rhythm of life. I want, when I'm writing, for my words to be grounded in reality, in everyday life. I don't want it to be esoteric and weird and intellectual. I want to be speaking the language of the people. And so it helps me to hear Maury muttering in the background or CBS News or something, because it always reminds me, whatever's coming up in you, say it in plain English. Don't try to add flourishes. Don't let your degrees overlayer the sentences. Just speak to the people about what you're hearing in the spirit. It's an invitation to everyone. It's not for one group of people. As I said, we're all one tribe. It's an invitation to all of us.
How does contemplation birth prophetic proclamation into action?
Prophetic proclamation and action that derives from our own interests, our own anger, our own decisions about what should be changed or what should be, doesn't last very long. And so by allowing the inner self to guide the action, to allow the Spirit to speak through you, by that inward turn, through that inward turn, then you're more likely to make better choices about how you present in society, how you oppose oppression, how you supersede your own fears. There are pictures of a young woman in a flowing dress standing in front of police officers in military gear, completely peaceful, in contemplation, with her dress blowing and them threatening her, and she is at peace. Even if they had shot her, you can't kill peace. Peace is endemic. Anyone who saw that photo knew what contemplation in the midst of crisis is, and that it can keep you, it can hold you, like Brian Schwinn talks about gravity holding you. Peace will hold you, even in the face of amazing threat. And so if you can abide in this place that you don't have to catch a plane to get to, it's with you all the time. You can turn inward. You can listen instead of talk. You can hear what comes next. You can hear the discerning voice that says, not that, this. I mean, that old film, The Apostle, where the actor is walking to the road going, which way, Jesus? This way or that way? Okay, so that's a fundamentalist view of tell me which candy bar to pick or which road to walk down. But you have an inner guide. You have a guide that keeps you straight. It's a spiritual guide. If you don't listen to it, you'll often make mistakes you don't have to make. But all you had to do was stop in the midst of threat, in the midst of indecision, in the midst of just confusion, everyday confusion. Stop and allow the gift of inner peace to hold you.
Then I guess it doesn't matter what path you take.
It matters because you can make your journey so much longer than it has to be. I mean, I have found that things I rejected that I should have accepted came around to me again later in a different way. But boy, it was such a long, unnecessary route. When if I had been listening instead of talking, and if I'd been discerning, the path would have been more direct. I mean, you think about the Hebrew children in the desert wandering for all those years. I mean, if you take a look at a map, there's a more direct path. You know, you didn't have to. The direct path is, well, in that instance, I think it's a poor example because some of the generations had to die out in the desert in order for inhabiting the new land to be a real inhabitation and newness. So spiritually, some of that old stuff had to die. So I think that's why Spirit took them the long way. But often we take the long way because we don't hear which way to go. This way, Jesus, that way, Jesus. We don't listen. So taking that mysticism out of the story of human life makes it difficult to negotiate life, makes it difficult to journey. Because if you have a story of where you're going, then you don't have to cling to certainties. You don't have to create an arrogance of control. Because I'm comfortable knowing that when it's my time to transition, that the elders will come and get me, that I won't have to walk into the light alone, that they will be with me, and that there will be joy. And I often say joy unspeakable and full of glory.
Breath, breathing, letting things rise up, questions of control. There's a lot going on there. We'll light the Christ candle in a second, and then there's really only three parts left of our time together. We'll listen to a poem, short poem, and we'll have communion together and a brief 3-minute meditation. But before we do that, when we light this Christ candle, just knowing that those things are coming, I suspect a video like that and many other things are going to generate stuff that's bubbling up for us. So I'll light the Christ candle first. If there's things that you want to just put aside for the moment, so maybe it's a conversation you've had this week that was difficult, an event that happened, whatever it is, or maybe even looking ahead to the next week, a conversation that you have to have, or an event that's coming, just something that's kind of really weighing on you. And often those thoughts, for many of us, we think them, psychologists tell us, because it's a way that we think. If we think about them, we can control them. And a lot of it is just that sense of control. So this kind of ritual allows us for a moment just to put it aside in terms of lighting the Christ candle together. So I'll light the big one, and then if you feel like you want to come up and light something, feel free to do that. stepping back and contemplating is around our breath. So I'm going to guide us through a 3-minute guided meditation. Many wisdom traditions, including our own, has been talking about the value of breathing for centuries. Science now also has picked up on how incredibly helpful it is for our bodies, our vagus nerve, and so many different aspects in terms of our well-being. So just, you're all sitting, but just sit comfortably, your hands on your lap if you want. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, and just take a deep breath in, filling your lungs with fresh air. Exhale slowly, releasing any tension that you might be holding on to. And just repeat this a few times, just kind of breathing in, breathing out, allowing each breath to anchor you in the present moment. As you breathe, let go of any thoughts about the past or the future, which is just really difficult to do. Imagine each breath as a wave, gently washing away any concerns or distractions, leaving you with a sense of calm and presence. Bring your awareness to your body, whether it's tingling or even pain. Notice the points of contact between your body and the surface beneath you. Feel the support it provides around you in the moment. Now expand your awareness to sounds around you. Quite likely that lovely warm air sound coming. Whatever sounds it is, sound of my voice, breathing, listen without judgment. Just observe the sounds around you. Let them come and go like passing clouds. And then just come back to your breath. You do nothing to breathe. It's what you do. We had a first breath, we'll have a last breath. Take a moment to express gratitude for this present moment. Feel a sense of appreciation for that breath, the stillness and the opportunity to be fully present. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So staying in a place of openness, I'm going to play David Whyte reading one of his own poems called Rest. And as I said at the beginning, don't feel like you have to get it all. So stay in a place of kind of receptivity and engage with the poem at any level that you kind of feel comfortable with.
Rest. Rest. Rest is the conversation between what we love to do and how we love to be. Rest is the essence of giving and receiving, an act of remembering imaginatively and intellectually, but also psychologically and physically. To rest is to give up on the already exhausted will as the prime motivator of endeavor, with its endless outward need to reward itself through established goals. To rest is to give up on worrying and fretting and the sense that there is something wrong with the world unless we are there to put it right. To rest is to fall back, literally or figuratively, from outer targets and shift the goal not to an inner static bullseye, an imagined state of perfect stillness, but to an inner state of natural exchange. The template of rest is the natural exchange of the body breathing. The autonomic giving and receiving that forms the basis and the measure of life itself. We are rested when we are a living exchange between what lies inside and what lies outside. When we are an intriguing conversation between the potential that lies in our imagination and the possibilities for making that internal image real in the world. We are rested when we let things alone and let ourselves alone to do what we do best, breathe as the body intended us to breathe, to walk as we were meant to walk, to live with the rhythm of a house and a home, giving and taking through cooking and cleaning. When we give and take in an easy, foundational way, we are closest to the authentic self and closest to that authentic self when we are most rested. To rest is not self-indulgent. To rest is to prepare to give the best of ourselves, and perhaps most importantly, arrive at a place where we are able to understand what we have already been given. In the first state of rest is the sense of stopping, of giving up on what we have been doing or how we have been being. In the second is the sense of slowly coming home, the physical journey into the body's uncoerced and unbullied sense of self, as if trying to remember the way or even the destination itself. In the third state is a sense of healing and self-forgiveness and of arrival. In the fourth state, deep in the primal exchange of the breath, is the give and the take, the blessing and the being blessed, and the ability to delight in both. The fifth stage is a sense of absolute readiness and presence, a delight in and an anticipation of the world and all its forms, a sense of being the meeting itself between inner and outer, and that receiving and responding occur in one spontaneous movement. A deep experience of rest is the template of perfection in the human imagination, a perspective from which we are able to perceive the outer, specific forms of our work and our relationship whilst being nourished by the shared foundational gift of the breath itself. From this perspective, we can be rested while putting together an elaborate meal for an arriving crowd, while climbing the highest mountain, or sitting at home surrounded by the chaos of a loving family. Rested, we are ready for the world, but not held hostage by it. Rested, we care again for the right things and the right people in the right way. In rest, we re-establish the goals that make us more generous, more courageous, more of an invitation, someone we want to remember, and someone others might want to remember too. Rested,
we're not on a Cumbrian lane. It's a bit of an interesting moment there, but just that last little bit there. Rested, we are ready for the world, but not held hostage by it. Rested, we care again for the right things and the right people in the right way. Rest, we re-establish the goals that make us more generous, more courageous, more of an invitation, someone we want to remember, and someone others would want to remember 2. As you take communion today, just rest. Be at peace with yourself, with your breath, the great gift we have of breathing. I'll play another song by Imogen Heap. And be at peace. That's been a restful space for you, just focusing on your breath. David Whyte's challenging us to think about rest, try to put aside our events and thoughts backward and forward. Often people are asking what music I use on Sundays with this kind of stuff, so this is Imogen Heap. I've used a few times. Anybody ever heard of her? She makes a lot of music with her gloves. She's from the UK. It's amazing with the hand movements, and she's now really famous because she did the soundtrack for the Harry Potter production. And this stuff that I'm using is songs from nature that she takes and she plays them kind of over. But there was a time when she wasn't famous. That's my claim to fame, and we followed her. And my daughters used to send pictures to her back and forward. So she's a really interesting musician. So follow her stuff online if you're interested. But let's close with this blessing from John O'Donoghue. He was a good friend of David Whyte, by the way, the guy from the Poets, so there's a strong connection there. All good things come from Ireland. I'm not go down that road. May you awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. May you have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. May you receive grace, encouragement when new frontiers beckon. May you respond to the call of your gift and find the courage to follow its path. May you respond to your gift and find the courage to follow its path. May the flame of anger free you from falsity. May warmth of heart keep your presence aflame and anxiety never linger about you. And anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. May you take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. May you take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. May you be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. May you experience each day as a sacred gift. woven around the heart of wonder. Amen. Rosemary is going to share some thoughts with us just as we close from the leadership team as a way of feeding back. And might feel like this is an addendum to the service. It's not as part of who we are and what we do. So receive it in that space.
It seems a bit. Do I need this? Oh, sorry, it's almost torn up for me, isn't it? So the leadership team met on Monday. Yes, I keep wanting to say Tuesday, but that's just old. And these were some of the things that happened. So the portfolio leaders are now finalising their group members within the next few weeks. If you want to be involved in one of the portfolios, let the team leader know. And even if it only means that you're interested in providing support for specific activities, not necessarily all the time. And we'd be really happy with any support we can get. And just for a reminder, the portfolio leaders are myself is hospitality, Michael's digital presence, spirituality is Meryl, operations is Danny, and social housing is Cole. And of course we are supported by John Rogerson as the convener and Brian as the minister. So that makes up the leadership team. We had quite a long discussion about the various houses, number 10, the mats here and various things. And we made the decision to rent out number 10 Warrigal Road as a commercial rent as soon as we can, expecting to get around $900 a week in rent for it, which will help go a long way to our financial problems or budget deficits problem. And then in the next meeting we'll be talking further about our ordinance and what will happen there. I'm going to be sending out a survey to everyone about hospitality and what you're looking for in hospitality. You know, the wish, dish, mash, they're sort of, perhaps we need to rethink how we do things and what sort of groupings we have. So I'll be sending a survey out about that to everyone. And an update on the negotiations with CCBT. We're continuing to engage with CCBT over the property issues. We don't expect a quick resolution, but we do expect a positive outcome. And our next meeting is on the 20th of May, so if you have any questions? Oh, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, it's just letting people know that at the AGM we talked about separating the title of number 10 Warrigal Road.
Yeah.
And this week CCBT had advised us they have agreed to do that.
Oh.
Yeah, so we've received a letter confirming they'll proceed, so we're just in the process of hiring surveyors to go forward.
Woof.
Wow.
That's a win.
Yeah, so it's been
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Cool. Before you go, sorry, a few things. We're in for a bit of a wild ride the next 4 weeks. So just to let you know what's coming, wild in the good sense of the word. Danny and Ben Stewart, I got that right. Ben Stewart from the band Slowly, becoming an internationally recognised band. So he's going to be with us next week as we look at Amos. Suggesting that our worship stinks sometimes. So there's going to be a bit of music next week. So Danny's going to be doing that the week after. Meryl with Amos, bringing our kind of 4 weeks to a close, and then the week after that is the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia and Transphobia, so we're going to be celebrating that as well. And then Joyce is with us the following week, and then also the fundraising high tea. So the details in terms of buying tickets and stuff is over there, and so come along and bring as many people as you can. So that's the next 4 weeks, so buckle up. And tonight is dish at the Roosters. Yep, so see you all there.
Coffee. I thought we were, some gloves out.
So clearly they've actually talked from
That's